Community Preservation Committee meeting held at One Government Center, Fall River, Mass, at 6 o'clock. One Government Center. Pursuant to the open meeting laws, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and deemed acknowledged and permissible. We'll start with roll call to my left.
Joanne Bentley?
Alexander Silva.
Kristen Cantara Olivera.
John Brandt.
Jim Wadsmith. Michael Farias.
Okay. Before we start our meeting, I did want to remember an individual that just passed away in our community. Was a big involved in community preservation.
Yeah.
Jim Soul, who, if you didn't know him, was a great guy. You could talk to him about preservation, sailing, anything. I mean, he was just there. But he was also a big member of getting CPA passed in Fall River, which helped fund 100 projects, $13 million. So he did a great job in his short life. And God bless him, a great individual. I just wanted to recognize him from our board. He did serve on our board, and I just wanted to put that out there. Alex, did you? You
Said
worked
it
with
well.
his first love, the Fall River Preservation.
Yep, you said it well.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you for that. All right.
Thank you for doing
Citizen, do we have any citizen input?
Yes.
Armando,
Yes,
could you? Oh, you got the.
I signed in for the hearing.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're in the first hearing. Okay, so
Oh,
you're.
okay.
All righty. Okay, first, let's see, approval of the minutes from August 19th, the regular meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on August 19th, 2024, which was the annual meeting.
No, we had the regular
Oh.
meeting. This is for the regular meeting.
This says
Annual
annual.
meeting.
Okay,
first.
annual meeting first, okay, annual meeting.
That's, yeah.
Okay, so do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, then can we have a motion for the August 19th regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we're moving on to eligibility hearing. For new members, this is where we, you have 4 categories: open space, historic, recreation, and housing that you have to fall into. Once they meet that, they're eligible for funding in December when they have to turn it in. So for people presenting tonight, you don't have to be long-winded. Why your project should be eligible, state that. You don't have to get into the financing, the funding, all that, just why your project is eligible. So let's see, the first one up tonight is 1270 and 1288 Pleasant Street, renovation rehab. Project description is bring back to original state as an apartment house and commercial retail space. New roof, windows, doors, plumbing, electrical service, complete renovation to allow the building to be rehabilitated and used today as its original intent. Can you come up and?
Good evening, Armando Ferrara. This is a building that's,
Could you just state your address?
my office is at 227 Union Street, New Bedford.
that. Could you speak into the microphone?
It's better?
I don't know, well, say something and I'll tell you.
You can sit down.
Comprehensive Design Build Services from New Bedford as well, so that's my entity. So here's a building that's when you look at it, when you're driving up the street, it's a landmark, it's historical. It's a building that has held historical assets going on there with the storefronts and the apartments up above. And to just let a building like that go to waste. I think it's a shame for the community, and it's actually a great revitalization of a building that's there as well, and put it to a use that today we need, which is housing. So we'd be looking for, under the historical preservation and also the housing, just because it's gonna be a big asset for the community.
I see you're asking for 300,000, you're putting 5 million. The 5 million's already secured?
That's being worked on, and that's what we're looking at. So I'm not saying that it's 100% secured as of now.
So like you have housing and historic, with that would come a deed restriction. If you did it under affordable housing, we do 25% for affordable housing. So figure out which one you want to fall under. Does the board have any questions? Alex?
So that's kind of in line with my questioning. Applying under the community housing category, are you planning on any deed restricted affordable units at the property? Because that's what you need to do to qualify under that category.
Right now, my client is actually on the Zoom. He's driving. So, Ron, can you hear the question?
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, we would be having some deed restrictive affordable housing units in there.
All right, and I think along the lines of what Chairman Brandt said, I think the target that we ask for is 25% units affordable. So just in the application, that's what we would be looking to see, or something close to it, to qualify under community housing. The other work would qualify under historic preservation, except for the stuff inside, the plumbing and the electrical service, that doesn't qualify under historic preservation, but stuff on the exterior envelope would, so the windows and the roof and such. That's it.
The 25% restriction is reasonable. They've discussed that with me.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, either one. No further questions? Can I have a?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could you summarize what was said over from the person?
Well, they're gonna look at both aspects, either
Okay.
doing the housing, which would be 25%
Yeah.
affordable, or they could go the historic route and just do the outside of the building, not the inside.
Or both.
Or both, yeah.
Just one question, the $5 million, how did that come up with that estimate of the 5 million for the renovation of that project?
Ron?
The overall, we came up with a price is approximately $200 per square foot, which seems to be the average in the area in these renovations of this type, based on the overall square footage and the new code requirements that are going to be needed. That's the price per square foot that seems to be falling in line by local developers and other people doing similar renovation projects.
Very good, thank you.
Same question. What did he say?
Well, the 5 million is an estimate on the average cost of 200,000.
$200 per square foot.
$200, yeah, per square
Per,
foot.
per unit?
Per square foot, yeah.
Per square foot,
So,
okay.
So can I have a motion for eligibility?
Actually, one other thing, I just want to make sure, so under the historic preservation category, I just want to make sure you'd be comfortable with the historic preservation deed restriction on the property upwards of 30 years?
Yes, this is going to stay in my family's portfolio. We're not buying it to flip it or condo it out.
Okay, thank you.
So yes.
So can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward the 1270 to 1288 Pleasant Street renovation rehabilitation project to the next round as eligible under historic preservation and community housing.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote?
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes?
Okay, and now you have the next project too, which is 1616 and 1622 Pleasant Street renovation rehab. Basically the same work, taking it back to the original state, new roof, new windows, doors, plumbing, electrical. You fall under the same housing, historic, same guidelines would fall under that one. Are you okay with that?
Yes, and again, that one is one that needs a little bit more TLC on the outside, so we could look at the interior as well for the housing. But I think we're gonna be needing a little bit more towards the historical restoration and repointing the building. The roof has collapsed, so we gotta rebuild that roof as well. And that's a building that, right now, we've designed for the housing aspect, that we've got 6 units there existing, and we're looking to take that and double it to go to 12. So, I mean, we're looking to help out with the housing stock as best as possible and restore these buildings back to where they need to be.
Well, it is a good thing because, I mean, they've got to push on Pleasant Street, trying, and when you have better housing and better storefronts, you have more activity and,
Correct.
you know, so. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just same comments and questions as the last project. Interior work such as the electric and plumbing wouldn't qualify under historic preservation, community housing caveats. And I just wanted to make sure, just for clarification purposes, with the community housing money, you understand that those funds have to go directly to either support or create the affordable housing units. You can't say, and this is just an example from a past applicant, you can't apply to put in an elevator to service the whole building. That elevator, for example, would have to solely service the affordable housing units. So that's what we mean by the funds have to go directly to the affordable housing units, okay? Thanks.
Understood.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. So, and this goes for your project and anybody else that's here for historic preservation, just a reminder, you do need to get letters of recommendation from the Historical Commission to be, to have your application be complete, so that's important.
I got it.
And if you haven't got that yet, Jason is in here. His email is on the Historic Commission, so get that. You have to December to get all that
Yep.
information. Okay, so can I have a motion?
Just one more question. I'm assuming you had the same calculation of building per square foot associated with the renovations of the project. Is that correct?
We do, with the exception, like I said, this one has a little bit more structural work that has to be done, so those numbers might be going up a little bit more than the other one at $200 a square foot. Like I said, we gotta look at, any fissures that have occurred in cracking in the facade, and that one, we have to rebuild the whole roof because of the cave-in that's there. So it has an automatic sprinkler system that's natural right now. So we have to get that before the building gets even more damaged. But yes, that would be also the same square footage plus whatever else would be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So do I have a motion for eligibility, or?
I'll make a motion to move 1616-1622 Pleasant Street to the next round.
Okay. Second?
I second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Quinsby, yes.
Michael Ferris, yes.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
just for the record, under the historic preservation and community housing categories.
Yes. Next, we have Fall River Highland Local 40C Historic District Expansion Form Bs under Historic Preservation for a consultant to produce the required Form Bs for interest property owners submit for expansion of Fall River only protected historic district in the city.
Yep, and so I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the Preservation Society, so I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
I'm actually, did pro bono work associated with it as a member of that society,
Okay.
so I have to recuse myself as well.
All right. Okay.
Hi, my name is James Souza. I'm a board member of the Fall River Preservation Society. I live at 300 Stetson Street. My name is James Souza. I'm a board member of the Fall River Preservation Society. I live at 300 Stetson Street in Fall River.
And I'm Jason Bouchard Naraki. I chair the Fall River Historical Commission, and my address is 45 Bigelow Street.
Okay. You can go ahead and just explain your project for us.
Sure. So the Historical Commission voted back, I believe, in October and November of 2023 to study the possibility of expanding the city's only local historic district, which is protected under Mass General Law 40C. It gives the Historical Commission the ability to review any exterior changes that affect the architectural characteristics of a building from a public way. Currently, the city has 48 properties within the Highlands Local Historic District. So we have sent out surveys to approximately 149 additional residences in the existing Highlands National Register District. For possible inclusion, we have received about 30 of those surveys back, which is on average to the past study committee about 10 years ago. So this is to go towards the hiring of a consultant that would provide the required Form Bs as required by the Massachusetts Historical Commission. The Form Bs are basically the inventory sheets of each property within a district. It goes over all the historical background of the property, architecture, style, condition, that sort of thing. The Form Bs that we have on file were last done around 1980. So that would be to update those and also to provide the necessary eligibility reports to the Mass Historical Commission as well as City Council once that goes through. Yes.
So it's a documentation effort. So in CPA, it falls under historic resources. Under CPA, it's a building, structure, vessel, real property, or document, which this would be, or artifact that is listed on the State Register of Historic Places or has been determined by the local Historic Preservation Commission to be significant in history, archaeology, architecture, or culture. So it would fall under that category. In CPA. It's defined in the Mass General Law, Chapter 44B, Section 2. One thing that when we did the last 40C district that people were concerned about is if I'm in the district, I have to change everything on my property, and that's not the case at all. If a home is going to be part of this new district and say has a fence that is not wood or original to the building, it's not like you have to remove it, but moving forward, if you have a wooden railing banister, for one example, you can't change it to a plastic fence or plastic railing. So it would be that way with the same thing as siding. If you have vinyl siding, you do not have to take it off, but if you were to move forward with a building that has wooden structure, you can't add vinyl siding to it in this district.
Okay.
So.
Does the board have any questions? Can I have a motion to move to eligibility?
I'll make a motion to move Fall River Highland Local 40C Historic District Expansion Form B. I'll make a motion to move that to eligibility.
And I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote.
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next is Night Owl Restoration, falls under Historic Preservation, restoring the iconic owl neon sign back to its original, more menacing appearance, new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing system installed.
Welcome back.
Design service, construction of handicap-assisted bathrooms, and restoration of the neon sign and windows and aluminum skin. They're looking for 125. Tell us a little about the project.
Anton Dias, 492 June Street, Fall River.
Joseph Nasrallah, 637 High Street.
Okay.
I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Night Owl at the intersection of Eastern Avenue and Pleasant Street. So what we're looking to do is restore the exterior skin, which is stainless steel. So I incorrectly put aluminum, so it's a stainless steel. There are a number of broken windows. The lights do not work. We're looking to restore the historical owl into a more menacing, and I saw the question, what does that mean? On the application, I showed the original night owl, which had more of a brownish color, and I believe it was the neon around the eyes. It had claws on branches, so it will be a full restoration of that main piece. The second one is the owl logo or sign on the side of the chimney, And then there's a third sign, which is a arrow that says diner, which currently doesn't exist. So we're gonna be looking to replicate that. In addition to that, we plan on putting a handicap bathroom on the site of it. The design will mimic the old wagon style. If any of you are wondering what that looks like, I believe the Fall River Reporter has a 3D video that you can look and see what we're looking to do on that. I also put on here electrical and plumbing, which Alex, I understand you said that doesn't qualify. I apologize for that. I didn't know if that was a recent change, because early on when we had met with Stewart, that was all approved, but that's fine. If you
Okay.
have any questions?
Well, that was one of my questions, that we wouldn't cover the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical. Now, this would come with a deed restriction. Then also, if you were to sell the building, you'd have to pay back CPC the funds that we did within a 5-year period if you sold it.
A question. The conversation that we had, and maybe you can correct me, was that if they sell the property, they're going to make sure that the deed restriction would go as part of the sale. They want to make sure that
If that wasn't part of the sale, then we would probably, but, my other question is, how long have you owned this building?
Since 2002.
2002.
How, Could you-
Years old it's
2002.
2002.
Now, I mean, CPC money is for preservation, but it hasn't been open, no money's been invested in it. We kind of look for partners that invest in yours would be a business. So you haven't really invested anything in the property. So to me, I just would rather see a little investment before we throw in our money, because it's taxpayers' money, so we're not, I don't know how they would look at that as us funding new signs, new lights, even though it's historic, but it's not up running. Who knows if it's gonna get up running? I mean, there's a lot of ifs there for me.
I can answer that. So I apologize if I didn't make that clear in the application. So we have 125 as just a placeholder. So we're going to give you all of the estimates. And it'll be your decision if you want to fund all of it, part of it, or none of it. And that's the conversation that we had, that I always indicated that this committee would like a 50-50.
Yeah.
You know, so they're well aware of that. We've had that conversation. And the reason that we're here is we want to see it open again.
We'd like to see it open too, but
So-
I'm just wondering why no investment before this, and then, you know, people say we're not a piggy bank, you know, so
Right.
that's, I want to make sure that, I'd rather see an investment first before this.
Well, the entire kitchen, which is 50% of the space, that's none of this here.
Yeah.
And that's a substantial number.
could you
There-
talk into the microphone so your voice drops and I really miss?
I'm sorry, Jim.
Maybe you could move the mic, you know, there you go.
There you go. The kitchen itself is a substantial investment, and there's a full basement that supports the kitchen and everything. And that's everything that the owner is going to take care of. You know, we have foundation work for the new addition. That whole section is brand new. This committee can choose not to pay for the handicap facility, but we hope that the diner itself would qualify under the historical preservation.
Does the
I-
board have any questions?
I do, I have a question. Do you have an estimate at this time of what the other work will cost?
We wanted to get through this phase, and I'm going to provide drawings so that we can get estimates.
Okay, so there's no estimate at this point on anything else?
That was just my rough idea. Obviously, we're going to sit down with electrical plumbing, which you don't cover, see what those numbers are. That's going to be on the December 2 final application for you. You're going to see all those numbers.
I have a question. What is your time frame associated with the design build of this project and up and running?
So my understanding is we are not to do any work if you fund it. You have to fund it
Inside we
first.
could start.
Then they will spend the money, and then you will verify that the work was done, and then you release the money at that point.
But what time frame in general? Are we talking a year, 5 years, 10 years, or?
We are ready, depending on the approval, to go right into drawings. Drawings can be done in 6 to 8 weeks, and then construction can start shortly after that. I wouldn't want to go too much further because the contractors might say, hey, you know, my estimate is now 90 days old, and, you know, they'll come back with a new number, so we would want to start right away.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the question before us tonight is only eligibility. So we didn't ask for you to provide, you know, matching investment information, timeline, or estimates now. That's all in the full application. It's just a matter tonight if this project is eligible. You mentioned the understanding about the mechanical and electrical piece. I know that in past decisions, sometimes the, you know, requirements have changed because of, you know, evolving case law. We've been told, you know, counter that now by the same person. You mentioned Stuart, who's our consultant from the Community Preservation Act Coalition, who is the consultant for all the other communities and municipalities throughout the Commonwealth. He was the consultant who gave us that recent decision regarding the elevator for community housing. But yeah, it seems like you have an understanding about what the requirements would be under historic preservation. My only concern would be, I saw in that recent Herald News article, there was some mention of a possible intent to sell the property in the future. In the past, we've asked or had required applicants to pay back that if it wasn't something that was disclosed up front. But if that is included in your application, as you said, that deed restriction follows the property and that's an understanding of the sale, maybe that would be something that would be tenable for the community at that time. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah. They may want to add this in your application, but I think you said you acquired it about 20 years ago.
I'm sorry.
Was that right?
Yes.
Did you fix anything? I mean, the question I have is, I am familiar with old buildings, and it looks like nothing got fixed for at least 20 years.
Yeah, for most of the time was closed.
Huh?
The diner was closed for a period of time.
Okay, but I hope you would address that in your application. I'm not.
Okay, what's the motion of the board?
I'll make a motion to move forward the Night Owl restoration application forward through the eligibility phase under the historic preservation category to the full application phase.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
No?
Yes, James Schwartzman.
Michael Ferris, yes.
Ready? Vote passes.
Thank you.
Next is St. Anne's Preservation Society, historic preservation. Towards the remaining $300,000 in capital they have, they are needed for the final phase of the building exterior restoration, repointing of St. Anne's original Vermont maple exterior walls, renewal of joints and mortar joints, $100,000.
Hi, Bob Garvin, St. Anne's Shrine Preservation, 818 Middle Street in Fall River. Yes, this is, we've completed the south side, the hospital side, roof and all the gutters, and right now we're in the process of restoring the north side, which is the Dominican Academy side. That side is being paid for by somebody who left us half their estate. So that should be done late November, early December. And once that's done, we're going to begin the process of repointing in between all the blue, the Vermont blue marble. And once that's done and sealed, the outside of that church will be fully sealed. That church was made to last 500 years, and it wasn't maintained. So we're going to have it in very good shape. I'd just like to say that the building inspector has been Fall River has been very, very helpful, because, you know, how often it's a $100 million building. I've never restored a $100 million building before. And they also recommended that we hire Stock Associates. So they've been our consultant, and, you know, they've really looked at the building, and it's in really good shape. The towers, the towers with the copper on the outside, they sent somebody up there. I wouldn't go up there, on the inside. And from 1906, no water, no damage. It's perfect. So you can imagine the craftsmen of those days sealing those towers. So this would be the third phase. And Brad is Brad from San Francisco. Do you want to say something, Brad? He's raising the rest of the money, the $300,000, to finish the repointing and sealing the outside.
Did you want to say anything, Brad, or is it?
I'd just like to say thank you. I'll be very brief. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank the committee for the previous grant, which has really helped us with the first piece of the roof, as Bob mentioned. And I was back in Fall River not too long ago, got to see that roof with all those beautiful copper gutters, and I think it really makes a statement. When I was growing up in Fall River and Swansea, when I drove across the Brightman Street Bridge, the skyline to me was Notre Dame, which is no longer there, Notre Dame Church, Durfee High School, which has moved now, and St. Anne's. And to see that coming back, it just warms my heart. And this is, as Bob said, this is the last phase of sealing the outside of the church, which, because of the leaks, it was threatening the structural integrity of the building. Once this is done, the entire outside of the church will be sealed and good for another 50 to 75 years. And we estimate it's about $300,000. We'll have more detailed estimates for you for the final application. The St. Anne's Preservation Society has some money on hand now, and as Bob mentioned, I'm working on some potential national funders. Because we got it this far, it's easier to ask for money because people see it's going to happen. You always get the best support from people outside the community when you're in the last stages of doing it, when this is the final piece to finish it. So I'll be working on that, and happy to answer any questions.
I'm just congratulate you guys on the resources and funding that you can get into this project. And I'm glad to see that you did complete the round that we did previous.
Yep.
Sometimes we give money to a nonprofit and it takes for years before they get the project done.
Yeah.
And it shows a commitment on your part that you're putting it to use. And
Yeah.
the community gets to see that. So that's all the questions I have. With the board?
I have two questions, actually. The first is more of a recommendation or a congratulations to you. Someone who vacations up in the Ontario area, when I actually go to church up there on my vacation, I mention that I'm from Boston. I don't get a peep. When I mention that I'm from Fall River, Massachusetts, people come out of the woodwork and they keep on speaking about St. Anne's and the festivals and the kind of tourism that's brought in, not only just locally but internationally. The second portion that I have is, it's really kind of, what is the vision or the game plan? We went up and we've done some work and visited the Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal. And so they have a very unique program where they have entertainment of music, very religious, and also a light show associated with it. And for a beautiful building of this nature, there should be some type of a sustainable, I guess, plan on how we could continue to beautify and keep this beautiful facility up and running. And so has that ever been thought about? I know the building was originally built for 500 years, and we're doing improvements to it for the next 100 years, plus or minus. What is the end goal ultimately with this, besides just creating some type of a sustainable, I guess, working business model for it so that it is preserved for an eternity?
Well, as far as the upkeep and maintenance we plan on in the future, You know, like we clean the boiler every year, which wasn't done. So we're gonna maintain it right. Our current president was a project manager for NSTAR and then Rhode Island Energy, so he's really good at the engineering side. I'm the kind of the finance person. But, you know, we're running it as a shrine, and once we get, the end game is to, once we have the outside sealed, we'll use private funds to fix the upper church and open that up to the public. But as of right now, we're running it as a shrine downstairs, and we've gotten, aside from the money that we've raised for the outside of the church, we've had we've put in 4 sump pumps downstairs, so we stopped all the water from coming in. We also asked the president of Providence College is from Fall River, and I invited him down, and they actually paid for an entire chapel to be restored. So we currently have masses. We're on the trolley stop from on the bus route now, and recently, for the first time in decades, we had a pilgrimage, a bus load of people from Quebec come down to our thing. So the news is getting out, and we're making a lot of progress every single year. You know. So.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion?
Hi. So I just had 2 things just based off of your application, just to answer at least my kind of take on them.
Yep.
You asked about if you should get a new letter of support from the diocese for the full application.
Mhm.
I would say just to re-up it. It's been a couple years and it's a new project entirely, so
Yep.
that would be good. And then regarding a new deed restriction as well, that would be up to the committee, but I think you could maybe expect to have the existing deed restriction possibly re-up to 30, or maybe a consecutive one that takes place after. I don't know what the committee would be up to, but
Mhm.
I would expect some form of additional protection for the additional funds.
Yeah, I believe they already
Signed
signed.
deed restriction.
They signed the deed restriction.
Yeah, for the previous
For the
grant
previous,
award.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the committee may want
Okay,
yeah,
more protection with more funds.
all right.
yeah. But if anybody would like to come and check it out, I'll take you upstairs and show you around. And it's the largest church in the diocese, and if there's ever a big event, that's the place to have it. Personally, I like to see if we could get like the Fall River Symphony to play there or something like that, because it would be a great venue upstairs, because it seats 2,000 people.
Oh,
As mentioned,
If
the
I-
Notre Dame Basilica is an excellent example of a public-private type of partnership with the diocese, and it's done extremely well. And so the reason I say this is that in 100 years from now, we would like to see that building still going strong and coming up with a solid business plan that's sustainable. That would be a good example of looking at this.
Yeah.
And this is kind of common, quite frankly, over in Europe. A lot
Yeah.
of these
Yeah.
dioceses and churches have done the same way,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, the diocese ran it as a parish.
Mhm.
We're running it as a shrine.
Yeah.
And that's made a big difference. We sell $6,000 worth of candles a month. You know, I was surprised that, you know, once we opened up, and we're open every day, that kind of support.
But you've also done extensive work down in the shrine.
Yeah,
It looks beautiful.
yeah, we're almost done downstairs.
And if I could just add one thing, and that is, if you haven't been upstairs, I was there as a child, but I went again several times in recent years, and if you haven't been up there in a while, you should take Bob up on his invitation. It is a stunning space, and it has one of the largest pipe organs in New England, and it's in very good shape.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of possibilities of having events there, musical events, and that's what I think we're all hoping will happen once the upper church is open.
sounds good, thanks. So can I have a motion to,
I'll make a motion to move the application forward to the next round under historic preservation.
okay, do I have
A second.
Roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Nice.
And then next is the Narrows Gatehouse Repair Fall River Waterworks Complex item, number 15. Pay for engineering designs, permitting, and construction of exterior structural ornamental repairs will contribute to the restoring of the historic appearance of the building and making it weather-tight, safe, and secure. It's under historic preservation for $250.
Good evening. So this project is the Narrows Gatehouse, so I don't know if everybody's familiar with the location of this gatehouse. So this is actually, if you're going down Route 195 westbound, right before you take the 24 northbound exit, right to the right-hand side there. It's a granite-style building, constructed in the Gothic style. It mirrors our 1875 pump station that is down on the edge of the North Watuppa Pond. The building actually houses the control structures that divide the North and South Watuppa. So that's the only point of that water could flow either from north or south. Those gates primarily stay closed unless the north becomes too full. Then we need to open it and drain it into the south. So the work that we're looking to do, the structure's in good condition. We did a update of the gate structures that are within that building about 12 years ago. But the exterior of the building needs some updating. The soffits, the gutters, that type of, those types of things, we're looking to redo. The soffits have become open, allowing animals to come into the building, as well as the copper gutters definitely need work. The roof is still in fair condition. It's a slate roof. So that's the overall project with the estimated budget of $250,000.
Okay. Did you get a letter from the Historic Commission on this one?
We are in front of them on their next meeting, which is tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, we missed the last meeting. We do apologize to the commission, but me and Mike got our lines crossed and neither of us showed up.
I know in this one and the next one, if you get any additional outside resources, that would be helpful.
Without a doubt, yeah, definitely. As you know, we're always looking for other funding sources as well, and we will be we'll be reaching out for any other additional funding sources that we can prior to the funding round.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward the Narrows Gatehouse Repair Fall River Waterworks Complex item number is, I'm sorry, do you want to talk about Waterworks Complex?
We're on
the
number
gatehouse.
15.
Narrows
The
Gatehouse.
gatehouse.
Yeah, well, it's a single grant request, so.
Yeah, for $250. That one.
Right, for the gatehouse, the waterworks is separate.
Yeah, the other one's separate.
Oh, sorry.
We're doing
it
this
says
one.
Waterworks as well. Sorry, number 15 versus number 12. I'll make a motion to move forward the Narrows Gatehouse Repair Fall River Waterworks Complex item number 15 under the historic preservation category.
Do I have a second?
Oh,
A second.
Okay, roll call.
Joanne Bentley, yes.
That's you.
Oh, sorry, Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
All right, then moving on to the next one, is the Fall River Waterworks Complex repair of shed number 12. Make essential repairs to the building from 1930 shed, converted from a repair shed to a cold storage building. Included in the project will be replacement of roof, windows, overhead doors, and repointing of the brick. That one you're looking for $450.
Yes, correct. So this is the, what we used to use as our garage facility up at our water maintenance complex with the construction of our new building across Bedford Street. This building has now been winterized and we're currently using it as cold storage. So to get some of our equipment, parts and pieces out of the weather and into a building, even though it won't be heated or anything like that. It's a lot better than stuff sitting outside. So what we'd like to do is repair the roof on that building, soffits, windows, doors, repoint it, so that that building would be in a good condition to be able to move forward.
Okay. Like I said, on the same on this, if you, the letter from the Historic Commission and then
Correct.
any outside would be greatly appreciated to
Without
that
a doubt.
project. Any questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move Fall River Waterworks Complex Repair Shed number 12, move that forward to the eligibility round.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Parrish, yes.
All right, next is the Sampson parcel acquisition. Require permanently protect from development 10 acres of Sampson parcel located adjacent to the Adirondack Farms on the west side of Blossom Road and eastern Fall River. This adjoins, for the new members, this adjoins the Adirondack Farms that we funded 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Or
2
last year?
I'm going to actually recuse myself from this.
Okay. So,
Yep.
Michael, or,
Michael Boss here. I work at 2929 Blossom Road for the Water Department on the
Could
reservation.
you move it like Mike a little more? I want to hear you.
Mike LaBosse here. 2929 Blossom Road is where I work for the Water Department. I'm the reservation forester. The Sampson parcel is immediately adjacent to Adirondack Farm. Adirondack Farm, as you know, is approximately 9 acres. It's the home of what will become the Southeastern Mass Bioreserve Environmental Education Center. And it is a parcel that's still privately owned. This is a 10-acre parcel adjacent to the 9. We are in the process of having a professional appraisal done, so this number is a sort of a placeholder. Actually, we had an appraisal done several years ago, so we're actually updating this appraisal. And it's expected that what we would do with this parcel is protect most of the parcel. It's got ecological values. It's partially forested, partially farmland, and it will become part of the programming and utilization of Adirondack Farm. So it really would expand the footprint of the farm proper by 100%, a little more actually, and it would get us an ability to, the property would be contiguous to other reservation properties as well, so it would contribute toward obviously open space, watershed protection, and the possibility of networking a trail system to the center. So it's really an opportunity that is one of the last opportunities to really augment a site which, as you've seen, is just exquisite. To be able to have the center in full view of and contiguous to the reservoir.
sounds like a great addition to what we already acquired. This was under open space for 355. And then any outside funding will come in.
Yeah, that's our trademark. So, yeah, so you recall for Adirondack, we got, I think it was 50% from the drinking
Right.
water. No, it was actually a little bit more possibly. A land grant, that's land acquisition for biodiversity or diversity. So there are a couple of grants that we have in mind. That one again potentially, or the drinking water supply grant. But generally we'll put an application in front of you for the whole project, and we really, the city really uniquely qualifies for especially the state grants. So we would expect to match this in some respect.
Yeah, just one thing with this parcel, we wouldn't want to make some of the grants have very restrictive conservation restrictions on them. We wouldn't want to make this parcel too restrictive due to the fact if we want to have trails that connect into our other properties within the bioreserve, we want to leave that option open. So that may come into difficulties when we're looking for some of those other sources, but we're definitely looking for them.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Sure.
So this parcel would grant Adirondack Farm waterfront access, correct? Or I think I saw that in the map.
Yeah, so this is one of the last, I think there's two other parcels that have full access to the North Watuppa Pond. So this does, down where the power lines cross this piece is still under this fee of this parcel with a easement to the power company.
Okay.
Yep.
If you wouldn't mind, I would just put a finer point on that, because I think what you were driving at is, people think that the whole 100% of the shoreline of the North Watuppa Pond is protected, and it's not. There are a couple of parcels that we would seek to, you know, and then, I mean, we'd be the envy of many communities to think that 100% of our primary drinking water supply shoreline is protected.
Yeah.
And not only that, but within our own corporate boundaries. That's one of those treasures that often goes unspoken, but it's something that we really can be happy with in Fall River.
Thanks for that.
So no further questions, can I have a motion?
Just a comment.
Sure.
Thank you very much for doing this. I support the project. The more you can gain funding in other places, it will really help. The two of your projects are 2/3 of the amount of money we get every year.
Yes. Yes, that's understood.
So I will help if you need.
Okay. Finished? Can I have a,
I'll make a motion to move the Sampson parcel acquisition forward under the open space category.
have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Alrighty, and then the next is, I should know this guy's name, is it Hossinger?
Hassan Jaeger.
Hassan Jaeger.
Jaeger.
Parcel acquisition. Acquire, permanently protect 230 acres of so-called Haxenberg parcel located east of Blossom Road and eastern Fall River, under open space, 690,000. Tell us a little about that.
Sure. So, I don't know if this will help or not, but Hassenjäger in German is hare hunter or rabbit hunter, Hassenjäger, for what that's worth. Yeah, this is the largest undeveloped parcel remaining in the bioreserve footprint area. It's one we've been discussing with the owners for a long time. Protecting this parcel, some of the benefits of it ecologically, it's the headwaters to the Bread and Cheese Brook, which feeds the west branch of the east branch of the Westport River, which is a cold water fishery. It gives connectivity to the ecology of all of the bioreserve partners, the state, the trustees of reservations, and the Watuppa Reservation, and also brings that protection of the bioreserve right to the Westport line. So that's it's an important infill parcel. It's also a landlocked parcel. So as far as development potential there, it's kind of low. So we're hoping to acquire that, working with the trustees of reservations as a partner. And again, the same principle goes. There are some options. There are some potential grant funding available to this parcel that's not for Sampson's. For example, the Forest Reserve, which is a state EEA grant program that just was announced. So there are a few potentials to do that with this one as well.
Now, on this property, are we buying, he has an agenda that has access road into the property. Is that part of the 230 acres?
This is just that landlocked parcel. We have parcels that are adjacent to it with trail access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it does not include any of the house lots that property
Okay.
owns around this parcel.
Alrighty. Okay. Sounds good. Jim?
Yeah, two things. One, you're not planning to put the road in.
We would not be constructing any road again.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a landlocked parcel as we see it.
And the same speech I made before about funding, and for the committee, this has more of an opportunity for funding because it is a totally preserved forest, as opposed to something that is adjacent to, in the Adirondack, a community education program and my hope is that it could be well used as part of the community education. And I hear you talking about connecting trails and.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right, can I have a motion?
I move that this be approved as eligible.
Under open space for 690.
Right, under whatever you just said.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call vote.
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
next up is the Durfee block under historic preservation. They want to replace 132 windows, $548,011.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ken Fiola. I'm the Executive Vice President of Bristol County EDC, located at 139 South Main Street, Fall River, and also a Fall River resident myself. You have before you tonight the Durfee block application, which a few of you may be familiar with, certainly those members that served on the board last year. This calls for the rehab of 80 to 84 North Main Street. Mr. Ferris, who's part of the Ferris Development Corporation, is currently in the process of moving forward with the rehab of that property itself, is seeking monies for the replacement of the windows in accordance with standards set forth by the National Park Service as part of a historic tax credit application. The project itself does have National Park Service and Mass Historic Commission approvals, Part 1 and Part 2, so the project will be moving forward. Ultimately, the overall project is about a $7 million project at the end of the day. This project, as I said, came to you last year. It was recommended for approval last year. In the spring of last year, Mr. Ferris decided to withdraw his application because there was another competing application, 66 Troy Street, that was also looking for funding for its windows. And since his project was not as ready as 66 Troy Street at that time, he decided to voluntarily withdraw his project. But he's brought it back before the board this year for reconsideration and hopefully for advancement.
Now, I recall last year, the windows are more than 548, right? So he's gonna,
So overall, the entire project is over, it's like about 7 million. And yeah, the 548, that's just for the windows. That doesn't include the,
wasn't that like a 8 or 900?
yeah, once you add in all your other ancillary costs in terms of construction and demo and all these other things, the price goes up. This is for the physical purchase of the windows themselves, not necessarily the cost of insulation removal and, discarding the existing windows.
Now, did he update the historical commission letter?
No, we're going to be doing that.
Okay.
Just one point of clarification in your applications, you may want to put that there, that if you need it.
I think that is in the.
It is in there.
Is
It's a
it?
check.
It's on the checklist.
Okay, I didn't know if it was as part of the preliminary application, or once you get through the preliminary.
it's
Normally like
for
to
the
bring it up
other.
that way.
Yeah, so it's like, so it's just a
Yeah.
question of when you ask for it, right?
Yeah,
So,
we
yeah.
just
You
remind
don't need it.
people.
Yeah,
so
right,
they
for the
get it,
final,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
so that's.
I like to mention that, then that way.
Yeah, no, I
like-
guess, so it's like, I didn't know what I should ask you for now, I didn't want to be so presumptuous to ask for it if it didn't get through this
Yep.
board, so I
Well,
figured.
you always could, like, you could always ask for it in advance, put it with.
I
your
know,
thing,
so,
I mean,
but we will be,
yeah.
we will be requesting that as well.
Does the board have any questions? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the project forward for Durfee block replacement of windows for 548-111 under historic preservation.
Second,
I'll second that.
roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
Okay, next we have St. John's Holy Ghost Club under historic preservation for $225,000. Installation of fire suppression and sprinkler system throughout the entire building.
Yes, so I'm here tonight on behalf of that. How are you? Good. So here tonight, we've come before you with regard to requested funding for the installation of fire suppression and sprinkler system throughout the entire building. Just for the record, the Coughlin School is actually listed on the National Register of Historic Places, was designed by Frank Irving Cooper and constructed in 1893 in a Romanesque revival style. It was named after John Coughlin, who served as the mayor of Fall River from 1890 to 1893. In September 2015, there was a pending sale of the Coughlin School to a private developer. That sale was terminated as a result of an arson-related fire that left the school, fire to the school, which caused smoke and water damage throughout the building and structural damage to the multi-sided roof. In August 2016, the city put the Coughlin School back out to bid, and the nonprofit St. John's Holy Ghost Association was the winning bidder and agreed to secure the building and put a new roof on within 60 days from taking its ownership. From 2016 to present, the St. John's Holy Ghost Association has replaced the roof and has made other improvements throughout the building to accommodate the stated purpose of use as office space for a club, a community food pantry, restaurant, and function hall. In order to move the project to the next phase for the utilization of the building for these purposes, the club needs to address the fire suppression system. It's sort of like the chicken and the egg. You can't get all these other activities taking place without the fire suppression system. It's anticipated in a total cost of $850,000 is needed to further make further improvements to the building to get it all up to code. Right now, there's a code issue there, and once, as you all know, once you surpass a certain threshold in the code, that's going to put you into a different level of compliance where you actually have to put a whole new, adhere to the new code as opposed to just making repairs to the existing code. So again, that request here is pivotal to the use of the building for extended purposes, and they can't use the building until they address the fire suppression system. They can't get the fire suppression system until they secure funding for it, and they can't generate any money at the building until they get the fire suppression system. So it's like a big circle, right? So fire suppression system allows them to start utilizing the building for civic functions, community food pantry, different types of civic and religious events, and generate some income from that, which will then help make further improvements to the building.
All righty. Well, you have been investing in the building. It's good to see some Pleasant Street. For years, we haven't gotten anything out of Pleasant Street. Now, this time around, we're getting the whole block.
I like it.
So we're glad to see that. Now, this here would be a deed restriction on the building. And then you'd also need the Historic Commission recommendation. That's the only questions I have to give. Is there any? Alex?
Hi. So it's my understanding and interpretation of the historic preservation category that you can't use any funds for internal projects like this, such as fire suppression. I believe we actually denied an eligibility application last year that requested a similar project. So, like, for example, you said that one of the planned projects was the windows. That would be something that would qualify under historic preservation.
Yeah.
In terms of
I
fire
think-
suppression.
I hear that, and I'm not questioning you, Alex, but the National Park Service preservation standards allow for these types of purposes and these types of improvements.
We kind of did that with the Fall River Arts Association.
Not fire suppression.
Well, no, we added a handicap bathroom
Right.
and ramp because it had to meet code.
On the exterior.
So when you have to come up to code, it does fall into
Yeah, but
where we
that's
can
still
vote for it.
exterior.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
Ramp and
No,
all
we
that.
could get an
But the
opinion.
inside bathroom is still,
That's up for debate with me still, but.
Yeah, I just find it hard to believe that the CPA regulations do not mirror the National Historic Preservation
Yeah,
Standards.
It's more
And-
stringent in
but
terms
no,
of.
I'm not sure it's stringent, because if you look at the regs, which I have, they specifically refer to the interior standards of review. So I'm not questioning it, I think for everybody's sake, you may want to get clarification on that, because I think that's an issue that's going to continuously come before this board to see what is eligible, what may not be eligible. You may have the prerogative to say that you don't want to put your funding in those areas, but in terms of eligibility, I think clarification may be necessary just for that, just for everybody's interpretation.
Yeah. I think on our past practice, when we did the handicap bathroom and the ramp, this would fall under the same updating. I mean.
Not necessarily, and like I said,
the
that was.
state's requiring a historic building to put the codes in, so.
Well, feel free to, like Stuart, our consultant who deals with, like, and follows the case law regarding all community preservation act projects throughout the state, has previously told us that this does not qualify. If you'd like to re-ask him, that's fine. It's up to you, but it's my take on it.
If it's not eligible, certainly the windows would be eligible. And that's
Yes.
something we'd be
Yep.
also interested in.
Exterior has to be a.
Right. I think the reason for we didn't request the windows is because we want to get the building functional. We could replace all the windows.
Completely understandable.
And we can't get the fire suppression. You got a building with nice windows, but you can't occupy it or utilize it.
Yep, completely understand the plight.
Okay. So do we just want to mention in the application that fire suppression or historic preservation of windows? Do I have a motion?
Well, the problem with that is if we don't fund the fire suppression system,
Well, we're putting in there,
and we
we-
put the
we'd
money
either
for the
do-
windows, are you going to have money for the fire suppression system?
Eventually, they're gonna have to find the money, right? They can't utilize the facility to help generate that revenue. So now it's a question of having different types of fundraising activities for that purpose. So eventually, they will be able to do that, so we don't want to forego any funding opportunity, even if it's for the windows now, in anticipation of additional funding come down the street. But, you know, the other challenge here for financing is that this is a social club, and banks typically don't finance social clubs because nobody signs personally, right? And so there's no, in the event that a loan goes bad, there's no collateral but for the property itself in terms of satisfying the loan that may be out there. So it's really challenging when you have social clubs trying to do these things, because you have hundreds of well-intentioned volunteers trying to make a go of this thing and putting in a lot of their own labor and a lot of their own money. But to get the big chunks of money, that's when it becomes problematic. And that's why, getting the building in a usable condition so they can generate revenue is the preference, but certainly they won't turn their back on funding for windows if necessary.
All right.
So I understand what Alex is saying, because I know that has been an issue, and I know that at some point Stuart did address it, but I also know that we have in the past funded things, and I think before we say, no, this is not eligible, I think we really should
I
get
think we should put both
clarification.
in. I talked to Stuart about the bathrooms and stuff and this, so, but they fall under the same guidelines. So I think if we had a motion that would include historic preservation for the windows, and then fire suppression, and then when it comes to eligibility, we'll know which way we want to go. So do I have a motion for?
Or we could also do it conditionally, if, like, for the fire suppression, on the condition that we do get confirmation that CPA funds can do that under historic preservation. It's,
All right.
Do we know roughly what the price tag is for the windows? Is it comparable to the fire suppression? I understand your.
It's 850,000, but I don't have a specific breakdown for the windows, but as we all know, windows are very expensive, and especially, when they're not seeking historic tax credits for this building, so they have a little bit more flexibility in the type of window they could put there, as opposed to, getting tax credits for that purpose. So we'd have to get a specific cost estimate for that.
Well, it still has to follow Secretary of Interior standards, because if it's under historic preservation, CPA still has those guidelines, so the windows still need to meet.
Yeah, but maybe
Yeah.
not as stringently as the national, for tax credit purposes. There's a whole difference between appearances and types of
See, sometimes
materials.
sometimes tax credit are less stringent than CPA.
I haven't
Not
seen
windows,
that.
I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't
Windows
seen.
are
I've
very
seen
tough.
some windows for tax credits that we questioned, like, how did that, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have a question.
Sure. Do we have a question?
Brad.
Brad, do you have a
Brad,
question?
did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, I have a very deep background in historic preservation.
I can't
And I
hear.
understand why bathrooms and interior work is not eligible, but I think a fire suppression system by its very nature protects the exterior of the building. And I keep thinking that if we had a fire suppression system in Notre Dame Church, when that fire started, Notre Dame Church could still be here. So I think it's worth exploring whether this is eligible or not, because I think there's a good case to be made that preserving the exterior of every landmark is critical to its long-term preservation.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is there any way to table this until we get an
Yeah.
answer back from Stuart?
No, we can't table it.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Yes, we can.
Take it next month.
We're gonna table and then they'll lose a month of, on their application.
Well, they can still do the legwork in the meantime, and they can still go before the historical commission, and they can still get numbers, like breakdown of numbers, because they can work on getting it either for the windows or the suppression
Yeah,
system, and then come back before us.
If you
I don't
wanted
see
to
why they
table
can't.
it, as long as we have the opportunity to get a bite at the windows, that'd be okay. But I just don't want to table it just for the fire suppression, then lose it, and then lose a whole
I
round. of
can't hear
funding.
you, Ken.
I'm sorry. If you wanted to, sorry, Reverend, if you wanted to table it and just allow us to also price out the windows as part of the application process, that'd be fine. I just hate to table it and lose out if it's ineligible and not have the opportunity to come back for the windows for another year.
Okay. So we're gonna make a motion to table it, but invite them back at the next meeting, and then we'll let them know which part is eligible.
Might I suggest just moving it forward as eligible pending confirmation with our consultant versus the legality of its eligibility? And normally, I would say that you would need to do a whole new application for a whole new project, since Windows wasn't necessarily addressed, but you did kind of mention it in the application. So I would move forward the application with Windows as an eligibility and fire suppression pending. You can even say a subsequent vote by this committee after opinion by Stuart.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second that.
And just for quick, who is Stewart?
So Stuart Stagnor,
He's head of the CPC
Sagamore.
Statewide.
Yeah.
Oh, is he employed as a consultant, or is he an
He's,
attorney, or is he, what is he? Because we're
He's,
we're putting a
head
lot of weight.
CPC coalition.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And he's a paid, we pay a due, like, I think most municipalities in the state pay a due to the coalition, which is a
Gotcha.
nonprofit entity, and they advise and follow and advocate for community
Okay.
preservation acts throughout the Commonwealth.
Do you ever check with local corporation councils, since you are a city board?
From time to time.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because, you're a city board, it may be,
Yeah.
wise to also check in with local corporation council,
Yeah,
as
sometimes we
opposed
do.
to
If it's
a
a
consultant.
interest, we
Yeah.
do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes?
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes?
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Ferris, yes?
All right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Maritime Museum, removal of steel, plywood, aluminum panel facade. Erected entrance to the Maritime Museum. Structure had now deteriorated to a condition in which an August
Thank you.
24th wind and rainstorm caused set third-story windows to fall to the ground. Structure to be unsafe. Its removal of necessary the removal facade and return to the Maritime Museum to its former structure. It's under historic for $70,057.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Chris Nardi. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Battleship Cove. And just as you stated, I don't know when it was done. I've been around for a long time. I don't recall when that facade was put up. But the windstorm back in August took down a set of windows on the north side of the building. Upon further examination, myself and some other folks, we looked at the structure and we just do not feel comfortable with it the way it stands. We closed the museum. We took steps to secure the remaining panels that are on the Anawan Street side. And now, unfortunately, the caulking that sealed off the panels to the steel structure was found to contain asbestos. So we've got those panels to remove no matter what. And along with that, we figured contemplating taking down the steel structure, return the Maritime Museum to its original configuration.
Now, I see this was caused by wind and rain damage. Why isn't this an insurance claim instead of?
Once the asbestos was tested, once it tested positive for asbestos, they no longer cover it. Now, they will cover, I did receive a quote before the asbestos was discovered. They will cover a certain percentage of that. I was also told that we have a huge deductible based on the value of the property, which wipes out the estimate that we got for the asbestos removal anyway. Or the demolition cost without asbestos.
All right. Only because this, I mean, we've had a few grants come through where we have the elevator, which I don't think is still approved or operating.
Okay, the elevator was operating. The elevator is as you know, has been up and down, not so to speak, in terms of we had electrical upgrade done to the museum, and subsequent to that, they had to do, when they installed the new power, they had to rewire the feed to the elevator. So there was a delay there. When that was done, we had the state inspector come in. He came in during a deluge of rain, and the water was coming right through the roof. We didn't know about that leak, and he closed the elevator off immediately. We've since had the roof repaired, and we're on schedule following this, getting through this hurdle of getting that placard removed and getting the elevator back in operation.
And then the electrical room, is that,
Electrical upgrade is completely done.
okay, because we haven't been called to do the final sign out on that either, so.
I believe Mr. Mancini was on that, and
Okay.
he saw the completion of that himself.
Okay, that's the only questions I had. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. So at this time, is the museum closed?
Yes, for safety reasons.
And it will remain closed until the panels are removed?
Correct. So whether we take down, we have to do something. So at the very least, we're going to take the panels down because I feel, and I have a technical background to some extent, that the panels were not installed properly. I don't feel comfortable that some more of them may come down.
Is that both towers? Is it, right, when you're looking at the building on,
Both, again,
left-
the construction is the same across the whole thing, and the part I saw that hit the ground, I'm concerned that could happen to the rest of it at any time. So yes, both sides.
so I guess my thoughts are that by the time, if this gets approved for the eligibility round, and then it gets through the next round, it's the time frame. It's a long time frame. And would the museum remain closed that whole time until this money?
It would have to be, yes.
I have a question regarding upon the demolition, has funding been secured for the construction, or what needs to be done to get it up and operating?
Again, at the very least, the panels have to come, we're satisfied with the integrity of the steel beam structure.
Mhm.
The panels that are incorporated into that structure need to come down.
Okay,
Because
so-
that's what, the window, the panel at the very top of each tower supports some very heavy windows. And on the way down, it took out, that set of windows took out a panel on the way down, damaged a tree. And I just don't feel confident that it wouldn't happen again to the panel, the set of windows on the south side.
So this funding of the $70,057 for demolition is strictly just to take the panels down?
No, that includes, so I have two quotes. I have a quote for the removal of the panels, which includes the asbestos abatement, and then a second quote for the removal of the steel structure.
Okay.
Again, none of that was part of the original structure of the Maritime Museum.
I know under past rulings, we don't pay to, like, your historic building, you put aluminum siding up, new owner comes in, wants to take it back to the wood building. We don't finance the taking of the old building off. You
Okay.
have to do that to get to the original state, and then we come in. So,
All right.
that's my point on that. Is there any other questions? Does the board have a motion?
Well, I don't understand why it's eligible. I went by there, and, it was, it's obviously closed, and I couldn't, I missed the fact that the museum was closed. I thought I could just go in, as I once did several times. But it seems like, is it all exterior that you're talking about?
It's all exterior, yeah.
It's all exterior. Asbestos removal is okay?
The caulking that seals, each panel is sealed to the steel infrastructure with caulking that has asbestos in it. So it just can't be demolished in a typical fashion. In other words, you can't take the structure down without the procedures that are necessary just like when we had at Battleship Cove, our Quonset hut was destroyed by the state pier next door. There was caulking discovered in the window ceiling. We had to go through a long, very expensive procedure to get the Quonset hut removed from the property. It has to be taken, that material had to be taken to the middle of the country, to a landfill or whatever they do with it.
Okay.
So that was my concern as well, as far as like demolition of
Yeah.
structures that were not original to the building.
If-
I
if
did
you-
not think were eligible for.
If you look at historic, one thing is we can't create. It just would be creating. You'd have to take it off, then we come in. But
Okay.
for the
Well,
upfront, I would say no. But can we have a motion or further discussion, Jeff?
I would just, I would ask you, why wouldn't you have considered this as an emergency application if it was resulting in the closure during like summer hours for your museum?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Why didn't you put this in as an emergency application this summer, like right after it happened?
To be honest with you, I've got so much going on at Battleship Cove. I'm not familiar with all the options available here in the city for funding, so I didn't even know about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so if you look at our resources on our website, it kind of details the process, and the one way, as it stands now, to kind of step outside of the schedule is for emergencies, which this could constitute as an emergency by some standards. But as the other committee members were saying about the eligibility part of the demolition of not original part, I think that holds true. So I would just suggest moving forward, if you do come up with a plan that does address the restoration of the front after the new pieces are moved, you could consider a historic preservation category CPA grant, I think, for that. And if it is an emergency type of situation, like to get your museum open, I would just suggest you look into that, if it would constitute as an emergency by your standards, and then we would judge that.
Well, from what I understand, but even in our case, it just would not qualify for an emergency because it's a demolition, still wouldn't qualify, correct?
Well, your business has been closed during peak summer hours and it's a tourism-run business, so, I mean.
Yeah, but
right now we
not
lose-
under historic preservation, though.
No, I'm saying if a future application comes that addresses the
Oh,
restoration
yeah.
of the
Restoration,
front
yeah.
part of
Yeah.
it, you don't need to wait another year. You can submit it as an emergency application potentially. I mean, it's up to the committee at the time if they agree that it's an emergency, but I mean, it's your chance to take, sort of thing.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
All All right, so can I have a motion?
You mean to deny?
Either deny or.
So I make a motion that the project is not eligible under the category of historic preservation.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Joanne Bentley, I agree.
So yes.
So yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, no.
Okay, motion doesn't pass, but like I say, once you get it cleaned up, you need, come back, we'd be glad to help with that part. But
Yeah, that's a good, that may be a possibility, because I don't know what it's going to look like once that material's removed. There may be some damage, or, you know, some stuff that needs to be brought back to the way it was, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have, I wanted to kind of change our, we have emergency funding now. I wanted to change it to.
Are we skipping?
Kennedy
yeah,
Park,
we did.
restroom and walkways. Yeah.
I didn't see anyone else in the audience, so I'm like, alrighty, I guess they're not coming, so we'll, let's see, we have Kennedy Park restrooms, under, historic preservation. Phase 1, full demolition of interior surface, reconstructed, new men's, room, and add public access to technology safeguards. They're looking for 600,000. I wish somebody was here because it is a.
Yeah, that-
I
It
do
is,
have
it is,
questions, but.
I have a lot of
it
questions.
is a
Yeah, I have
beautiful
several
building.
questions on here, too.
It is a beautiful building and it's just destroyed inside. I know when no one's not here, it does fall under historic preservation.
Not the inside, not the
It's a
inside.
historic, yeah, the inside's,
No, see, no.
No?
yeah, you could do the inside,
Well, I think in past years, we've tabled ones that don't have applicants here to present their application when there's board members especially that have questions, so I would recommend tabling both.
okay,
Yeah.
we can. Okay, can I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call?
I'll make a motion to table the next two eligibility applications, Kennedy Park restrooms, Kennedy Park walkways, until a representative from the city is on hand to answer questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a month time if we wanted to do an earlier meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
No second.
Roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes.
Alexander Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
Sandy, can you send Al a letter to request that somebody be here and they can answer questions? Okay. Thanks. Okay, next was the out-of-cycle funding. We have emergency funding now. What I want to do with the out-of-cycle funding is keep the emergency by natural causes, you know, and then add open space and housing, affordable housing. So open space comes up before us because that's something you can't really regulate. And if a housing comes up, but the housing now would be affordable housing, 100%, and the house we have to buy. So I was looking to add those two categories under out-of-cycle funding. How does the board feel on that?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea, because you can't determine when land is gonna come up for sale. And you also, I mean, housing is such at a premium right now, and we need it, so when that comes up again, having to wait another year for something like that
Yeah.
is ridiculous, so I think that's definitely something
I
that
mean, in
should
that-
be considered.
The housing, which everything come with a deed restriction, but the housing would have to be housing and 100% affordable housing, not 25, I would say.
Right.
Not historic preservation housing, for example.
No,
If
this
there were
is-
no
this is
affordable
just
in it.
housing.
Well,
No.
even if they come for historic preservation and the housing under special out-of-cycle funding, I would say 100% because they're asking for, I think, what do you guys think?
Personally, I would say that if you're saying it's 100% on that component of it, I don't know a developer that would touch that particular project, and it basically
That's
limits
an
You
you.
want to stick with the
But the city
25%? Is
might,
that,
On-
What
on
is it in writing?
Historical renovation, is that what you're saying?
yeah.
No, for community housing. No,
Community
because,
No, no, no.
because it's very conceivable that Mike Dion could come in with a project that's full 100% affordable housing.
Do we want
And
to
that's
just stick with the
something-
housing at 25%?
That's not gonna, that's not
for the
gonna,
mer- Not for.
that's not gonna address any crisis
It's
associated
not.
with housing or affordable housing. What you're going to do is alienate. So I would, whatever it is currently right now with the 25%, keep it at the 25%,
Okay.
and then it can be
All right.
seen. Because you'll get challenged, and no one will touch the project.
All
I'm
right.
just telling you that's a fact. That's
I'm
what I
just
do.
throwing out every angle
Yeah,
that we would
yeah, yeah. Yep.
want to look at.
Can so rather than just kind of doing this ad hoc at the meeting, might I suggest that we take some time to think about all the parameters and restrictions we would want to include, and maybe also open it up or give the public a chance to comment on this, perhaps like a month or something, you know? And then also, I think fellow committee member Rick Mancini would definitely want to be involved in the
Yeah.
conversation before any votes are taken on this. I agree in thought. I think the emergency application process in of itself is rather vague and left up wholly to interpretation as to what constitutes an emergency, so I don't feel that there's any problem further defining that. I just want to make sure we cover all our bases, or at least leave maybe a miscellaneous category in case something that's unforeseen does come up. Because like under the parameters you said, like an arson case would not count, you know? So like there's things like that where I think we should probably think of, allow the public to comment,
Yeah.
come up with a plan, and maybe get something in writing that we could all talk about rather than kind of going ad lib.
Okay, yeah. I do think like our emergency funding is, you know, kind of not weak, but it really doesn't focus on.
It's very vague.
Like most of the
Yeah.
project that came before us for, was regular maintenance followed, things like that, I think need to be included in.
Yeah, like perhaps
verbiage.
specifying, like, you know, what we would constitute general maintenance oversight versus, you know, not general maintenance oversight. Like, for instance, my personal opinion on new roofs is, you know, there's a fine line between when it should have been maintained versus a new property owner with a building that has a collapsed roof. I mean, there's a difference between general maintaining it and saving the building, you know? So that's some clarification that should be
Right.
kind of written into whatever we do.
A tree going into a roof is an
Mhm.
act of nature. A roof not being maintained is, I don't
Not
think, an
an
emergency.
emergency.
So, okay, well,
So I'll make a motion to table this conversation. Put it
Okay.
on another agenda when we're,
all
when
right,
we
how
can
about
have
we're,
an in-depth
we'll
conversation
put it on the
with us.
next month's agenda. Could you and Alex maybe draw up some,
Well, and everyone send, I think,
verbiage?
suggest everyone send suggestions.
Yeah, I
to
think we
Sandy,
all need to.
perhaps,
We'll
and
send
we-
verbiage to Alex and Christine here, Chris, and they'll type it up and we'll discuss it again next month. And
Sure.
if we have to add, we'll just keep it on the agenda till we come up with, because we're in no hurry. I
No.
just figured it'd be nice to have additional, if we needed, to come before us. This
Mhm.
way, the public knows and everybody knows. Updates on projects, does anybody have anything?
I don't.
Okay, I don't either. Alrighty. New business? Okay. I do want, for the public part, that tonight's was eligibility for funding. Doesn't mean they're necessarily gonna get funding. I always hear comments about people, we take very serious the responsibility of passing out CPC funds, because it's taxpayers' money. I would encourage people to let us know about projects that they like, projects that are up here, good, bad points. We have an email, cpc@fallriver.org. Please send your comments in there. Positive, why it's a good project, anything. We'd just like to hear about it firsthand instead of on your local radio station. So we can't do anything if you don't let us know, and we do want to spend our CPC money responsible. So if you do want to do that, feel free to send us an email.
Or come down to a meeting, join us, and talk with us. We like that even more.
Okay. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Joanne Bentley, yes?
Alex Silva, yes.
Kristen Cantara Oliveri, yes.
John Brandt, yes?
James Hornsby, yes.
Michael Farias, yes.
All righty.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.